Hey, it's Amelia. I wanted to do a Shop My Stash for eyeshadow today because I have an eyeshadow problem. As you can probably tell from this setup, I don't have the biggest makeup collection, but I have enough that it's an issue in terms of things expiring faster than I can use them. I wanted to talk about the palettes that I want that I know I shouldn't get or that I can't get, and what dupes I already have in my collection. My editing software does not allow me to put pictures in my videos, unless it's just looking at the picture or just the video. So unfortunately I can't put pictures of the palettes next to what I'm showing you, but I will insert pictures somewhere in the video. I'm going to be talking about popular palettes, so if you are someone who is into makeup and you're someone who watches a lot of videos in the beauty community, or if you make your own, you'll probably know what these palettes are and be at least somewhat familiar, and there's a good chance you might actually own some of these already. The first palette I want to talk about is the one that got away, which is the Mario and Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palette. I was looking up dupes on Google Images and whatnot, and I noticed a couple things. The first thing I want to say is there's an account called Futilities More who does a lot of Makeup Geek eyeshadow dupes to palettes, and I reference her photos a lot, so if you're looking for dupes, you should check her out. And also Temptalia is an amazing resource for dupes and reviews, and I use their pictures all the time when I'm trying to find dupes to products. The second thing that I found when I was researching dupes to that palette that is no longer available is that I only actually want 4 shades out of the palette. And that would be Marina, Fifth Ave, Bronx, and Paris. It's basically the 3 bottom right shades and the second to last shade on the top right before the blue. They're very neutral and very boring to most people who like color and neutrals, but because I'm someone who only likes to wear neutrals, those are the only shades I'm really interested in. I'm also not a warm eyeshadow person. I do not like orange or red or anything similar. So there's a lot of shades in that palette that I wouldn't want to get anyway. When I was looking at the dupes from Makeup Geek, the ones I'm probably going to end up purchasing are Grandstand, Magic Act, Sumptuous Olive, and Pretentious. From my own collection, I realized that I actually have something similar to Fifth Ave already, which would be Urban Decay Easy Baked. And this is new to me. This is also what I would consider a dupe to Primavera from the Modern Renaissance, which is the only other one that I actually want from the Modern Renaissance. I have Vermeer, which is like a, sorry, I don't know how to make it so you can see. There. I have that one, which is like a light pink sort of shade. This is basically like the gold version of that. So I'm happy to have that because now I don't need to buy the Modern Renaissance. I also purchased a single of Bon Fresco. This Bon Fresco is more pink than the actual one. I'll re-show you. This is Vermeer. And then this is Easy Baked from Urban Decay. So, Modern Renaissance is one there was a handful of shades I really wanted. My friend actually, I bought Antique Browns off of her. But from the Mario palette, I think Vermeer, which is this one again, and Easy Baked are decent enough dupes to Marina and Fifth Ave. But also, Vermeer, I sort of put in a light pink category that would be similar to either Virgin or Sin from the Naked palette, or from my Viseart palette. This is Cashmere. This shade here. Just like a light pink. Another one I have is Midnight Cowboy. So I have a lot of the same tones, but I still, for some reason, feel the need to go out and buy dupes or buy palettes for very specific shades that I already have a lot of. The next palette I'm trying to talk myself out of getting is the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette. I don't have a problem with Too Faced. They're a cruelty-free high-end brand, which I appreciate. I have two issues with them. Actually I have three. One is all of their products look like they come from Claire's. Well, not all of them. I'm not into cutesy packaging. Like, I prefer packaging like the Natasha Denona, very classy looking, or Anastasia. I mean, these aren't the best examples, but I have better examples in other products like Hourglass face products. I like, when I spend a lot of money on something, I want it to look like it's worth a lot. I don't want it to look like I went to Claire's and bought it. This is, like, obviously personal opinion. There are a lot of people who are going to think that things I like are tacky. So we all have our personal tastes, and for me, Too Faced doesn't match my taste. My second, probably biggest issue is that they put out a lot of shit products. They are just, like, notorious for doing Christmas and holiday, and then just other limited edition products that are complete shit, that have zero pigmentation and blendability. They're just awful. But they'll put all their time and effort and money into the packaging. My third reason is Jared, whatever his name is, the founder. I think he's still the owner. I'm not sure. I really hate him as a person. He just gets under my skin. Just everything about him pisses me off. So it's like every time I think about buying something from Too Faced, I'm just like, I don't want to give him any money. Long story short, I'm not buying the Bonbons palette because there are shades in there I don't want or need, and I have issues with the brand. The Bonbons is one of the very few true cool tone palettes. They're cruelty-free that I've found from high-end brands. The Naked 2 is the only cool toned palette I own. This is what it looks like right now. I'm panning it. And there's actually a lot of dupes in here that are in the Bonbons. So these dupes that I'm going to list to you are mainly things I found off of Temptalia, but some of them are just me saying this is something I have that I think looks similar. So I'm going to tell you what shades I like from the palette, and then what shades I have that are dupes to those. The main shadows from the Bonbons palette that I want are Pecan Praline, Cashew Chew, Cafe au Lait, and Almond Truffle. Molasses Chip and some of the browns I really like, but they're not ones that I was necessarily looking at the palette for getting for the sole purpose of those. Those were just sort of shades that I would like but don't necessarily need. Like the shade like Malted is a good example of one that like I would use it, but it's not one I would buy the palette specifically for. Molasses Chip is supposed to be a dupe for Half Baked, which I have here in the Naked palette, but I think it actually looks more like Easy Baked. I would have to see it in store. So that's one. I'm not really into this shade of gold anymore, so I don't care about that. Cotton Candy is supposed to be a dupe for Urban Decay Harajuku from the Gwen Stefani palette, but I also have Macaroon from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Before I realized how much I love Viseart eyeshadows, I was thinking I didn't like this, but this palette has actually turned out to be probably the best representative of my taste in makeup. On camera, this pulls a little more yellowy or orangey, but it's not. It's like the perfect neutrals, like cool tones and warm tones and then neutral tones. For the Bonbons palette, I think any cream matte will take care of Divinity. I think a shade like this, or like Anastasia Vermeer, or anything like it, will take care of the need for satin sheets or sprinkles from that palette. This shade was listed as a dupe for one of the shades in this palette. I'm not sure which one, but I think this one, which is a shimmer taupe, is closer to the tone of the palette, whereas this is a little warmer. So right here, these four are fairly good representative of the tones of that palette, and I don't necessarily need to buy that palette just to get the same shades in a most likely inferior quality. From the Naked 2, Tease, which is this one, Chopper, which is this one, and Verve were all listed as dupes. I don't believe Verve is a dupe, but it matches the tones. And then Tease, I like the color but not necessarily the quality, and I don't like Chopper, so I'm not concerned about the Chopper dupe. I think it was supposed to be from Molasses Chip. But when I was looking through my collection, I was thinking, okay, Pecan Praline and Cashew Chew and Almond Truffle are all cool tone matte shades. What kind of cool tone mattes do I have? So one of the first things I pulled out was Smashbox Hang. This is a single I bought at Nordstrom Rack because I was like, oh my god, a taupe matte. I'm not sure how the color's picking up on camera, but this is not the greatest quality, but, and when I say that, I mean it's not Anastasia or Viseart level matte quality, but I think it would be on par with the Urban Decay ones like Naked and Buck. So it's not bad, it's just not great. And then I was like, Amelia, you have the Becca Ombre Nudes, which is basically a cool tone matte palette. This is a little more warm, but they don't advertise it to be completely cool toned. I believe on the back or on the box it says it's a combination of tones. And again, I believe this one was said to be a dupe for Almond Truffle on Temptalia. And then I was looking and I was like, okay, I really like Cafe au Lait. I wonder if I have any single shadows that might be similar. And I found 3 singles from Urban Decay. So I have, these ones are new. I have Midnight Cowboy, which is most similar. It's actually similar to Vermeer again. So that's just another one in that color family. And then I found Midnight Rodeo, which is also new. And this reminds me of Cafe au Lait a lot. This is a, I believe it's described as a shimmer taupe. And then I have Bust, which is basically another taupe. So that's just another cool tone that I can add into that family. Barlust from the Urban Decay Smoked palette was listed as a dupe for Dark Truffle, I believe, which is this shade here. And I actually have a dupe to that, which is from Urban Decay as well. This is Lost. They're not exact dupes, but they're close enough, and this one's permanent, I believe. I'm not sure. I bought this at Nordstrom Rack also. When I break down the palette, I have singles and shadows and quads or palettes that are either very close dupes or exact dupes. I really don't need this palette, and if anything, I would want a dupe for the mattes, but at this point, I'm not going to be buying any more mattes until I go through these. I also have mattes from Anastasia. Oh, I believe Chocolate was listed as another dupe for Dark Truffle. And then Stone is a cool tone matte from Anastasia. Makeup Geek Cherry Cola was listed as a dupe for Bordeaux. I have the shade here, which is Punk from Urban Decay. And I also have a dupe to that in my own collection, which is Hot Chocolate from Anastasia. This is Urban Decay Punk, and this is Anastasia Hot Chocolate. They're not exact dupes, but they get the job done pretty much the same. So basically, my conclusion about the Bonbons palette is, if anything, I should be looking into expanding my cool tone mattes collection for shades that are, for example, I would like a better quality version of this Smashbox one. Or I would like to get something like Almond Truffle that's less pink than this one. On camera right now, it doesn't look very pink, but this is really pink in person and on my skin. I don't want this video to be too long, but I also wanted to talk about the Tarte Tartelette in Bloom palette, because when I look at it, there's only 2 shades in there that I really want. The main reason I want the Tartelette in Bloom is because of the shade Rocker, and I have a shimmery cool tone taupe type shade right here. This shade is a lot more pigmented if you use your finger. On the eyes, using a brush, it's not the most pigmented, but I can build it up to be this. And then the next one is Funny Girl. Depending on the pictures, Funny Girl looks like it could either be a gold or more of a warm shade, so I was thinking either this shade here could be a dupe for Funny Girl, or again, Easy Baked from Urban Decay. Once I take those away, the only benefit of this palette is the packaging and the mattes, and I have a ton of really good mattes. I tried using, like, hitting pan on these 3 mattes from Viseart. I worked on it for a long time and I couldn't do it. They're really difficult to go through. At the moment, I am using my Becca Ombre Nudes palette. I've been using this shade every day for a while now, and I'm telling you, I cannot hit pan. Like, it's ridiculous. It's, like, I really do not need any more mattes right now, so there's no reason for me to buy the Tartelette in Bloom because I have the shimmers that I want. And there's no point in me getting those mattes because they're not exactly the tones I want anyway. And they're probably not Viseart and Anastasia level quality. And I have dupes most likely anyway. Additionally, the shade Firecracker, as someone who doesn't like warm tones, like true warm tones, that just sounds like something I don't want. It sounds like it's going to be really orange. I feel like looking through my eyeshadows for Shop My Stash, I've rediscovered these 6 single shadows that I forgot I had. And then I've also rediscovered this palette, which comes in handy pretty much every time I want to dupe a palette. Just on my own, I'll look for dupes, and something from this palette will always show up. Buck I don't love, but it's a shade I can use when I'm using really warm tones, and this, although it's not a perfect dupe, it's close enough. I additionally have other warm tone mattes, such as these 2. Well, this one, Anaheim, is a little cooler, but like Zone from the Gwen Stefani palette. I also have 2 pans of Mushroom. I have no business buying any cool tone shimmers when I have 2 pans of that and Bar Lust just sitting in this palette. And that's not even accounting for all of these cool tone shimmers in here that I'm supposed to be working on this year. I believe Snakebite, which is this one, is supposed to be a dupe for Makeup Geek Pretentious, which is a dupe for Paris in the Mario and Anastasia palette. So although this might not necessarily be a perfect dupe to that. I already have something similar. This I view as my Naked 2 in a quad because this sort of reminds me of Suspect, or no, not Suspect, Pistol. Chai is just like, it reminds me of Snakebite, and then Truffle Glitter is like a shade that's sort of, I don't know, I just think it matches the tones. Like, it's not a perfect dupe by any means. Oopsie. But like Chai and Snakebite, Vermeer, and Booty Call, and this one and Pistol, like, can you see, like, they're not the same, but like they're the same color family. Truffle Glitter is like what I wish Chopper was instead. The shades I'm attracted to them for a reason. It's because they're shades I like and I continue to buy multiple times. I also have Nude and Warm Taupe, which are cool tones that can dupe a lot of things. So again, another example of why I do not need the Bonbons palette. And I have a ton of singles that can dupe whatever was in the Mario palette that I actually was interested in. Like, I can play Jenga with my eyeshadows. Yet I'm over here being like, oh, should I get this? Like, no, you shouldn't. You should use what you have. Thank you for watching. Let me know what improvements I could make. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.